Today, we are diving into Jim Kwik's Limitless, a book that makes a pretty bold promise that you can upgrade your brain and learn literally anything faster. And it's all built on this really powerful idea that our potential isn't some fixed thing we're born with. Nope, it's something we can expand if we just learn how.
So let me just ask you, what if you could actually learn anything faster? Think about it. A new skill for your job, a musical instrument, a new language, anything. According to Jim Kwik, learning how to learn is the one meta skill, the one superpower that makes everything else in your life easier.
And you know, this isn't just some abstract theory. This entire framework was born from a deeply personal and pretty painful struggle. This is the story of how Kwik himself went from being labeled the boy with the broken brain to becoming one of the most in-demand brain coaches on the planet.
All right, so let's get into his backstory, because honestly, Kwik's origin story, it's the key to understanding this whole thing. It's where it all starts. So picture this. It all starts back in kindergarten. There's an accident in the classroom, a bad fall, and a traumatic head injury that just changes everything. One moment, he's this bright, energetic kid, and the next, he's struggling. A lot. Focus, concentration, memory, it all became a huge challenge. School turned into a nightmare.
And this right here is such a critical moment in the story. A teacher, out of frustration, points right at him and says those words. And that external label, the boy with the broken brain, well, it became the voice inside his own head. It became his limiting belief, the story he told himself for years, that he was broken, that he just couldn't learn like other people.
And you can imagine, that belief didn't just disappear. It followed him all the way to college. He was so convinced he had to just outwork everyone to make up for his broken brain that he pushed himself past the breaking point. I mean, he pretty much gave up everything, food, sleep, friends, just to live in the library, trying desperately to keep up.
And this is where it all came crashing down, literally. He passed out from pure exhaustion, took a tumble down a flight of stairs, and ended up with another head injury. He wakes up in a hospital bed, dangerously underweight, hooked up to machines, and feeling like he has absolutely hit rock bottom.
But what happens next in that hospital room? It's a total game changer. A nurse brings him a mug of tea, and on it is this quote from Albert Einstein. And for him, it's like a lightning bolt. He realizes he's been trying to solve his problem, his learning problem, by just doing more of the thing that created it, forcing himself to work harder. For the first time, he starts to ask a different question. What if the problem wasn't his brain at all? What if it was the method, the way he was being taught to use it? So that personal breakthrough, it led him to realize something about all of us. While his broken brain was a personal, internal limit, today we all face these huge external forces that are actively breaking our focus and limiting our potential. And he has a great name for them, the 4 digital supervillains.
He uses this superhero analogy, which honestly is kind of brilliant. Right? Just like any superhero has an arch nemesis trying to take them down, our brains have their own villains. And they're not characters in a comic book, they're the nasty side effects of the technology we use every single day.
All right, so here they are, the 4 big bads. First up, digital deluge. That's the constant fire hose of information from the internet that just leaves us feeling totally overwhelmed. Then you've got digital distraction. You know what this is. Every single ping, buzz, and notification that shatters our focus. Third is digital dementia. We've outsourced our ability to remember things to our phones, so our own memory muscle is getting weaker. And finally, digital deduction, which means we're letting algorithms and headlines do our thinking for us.
So, okay, those are the villains. How do we fight back? How do we become the hero of our own story? Well, Kwik's answer isn't just one simple trick. It's a whole framework, and he calls it the Limitless model.
And this model, this is the heart of his entire philosophy. Kwik basically says that if you feel like there's a gap between where you are right now and where you want to be, the problem is always in one of these 3 key areas. And to become truly limitless, you can't just fix one. You have to work on all 3.
So let's break it down real quick. First is your mindset. That's the what. It's what you believe is even possible for you. Think back to the boy with the broken brain. That was a deeply limiting mindset. Next is motivation. That's your why. It's your purpose, the fire that gets you to actually do something about it. And finally, you have your methods. That's the how. These are the actual nuts and bolts strategies for learning, like speed reading or memory palaces. And here's the kicker. Real, lasting change only happens where all 3 of these overlap.
So all of this leads to the core idea of the book, which he calls unlimiting. This isn't about being perfect or having no limits at all. It's about the process, the act of pushing past what you currently think your limits are. It's about realizing that all those limits you've picked up over the years, they were learned, and anything that can be learned can be unlearned.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. How do we actually put this into practice? How do we take this model and use it to unlock our own unique superpower?
You know, this quote from Kwik really just sums it all up perfectly. His big transformation, it didn't come from a doctor fixing him or some magic pill. It happened when he made a decision on the inside to change his approach. The power to break through your own shell, your own self-imposed limits, it always starts from within.
So I want to leave you with this question. What's one limiting belief you're holding on to? A story you tell yourself, like, oh, I'm just not good at remembering names, or I'm a slow reader. Using this model, what's that belief? That's your mindset. What's your deep down reason for wanting to change it? That's your motivation. And what's just one tiny thing you could do today to start learning a new way? That's your method. Because that first step, that's where life begins.